Hey, sis. Let's talk about why some people are just so angry. Some people are just so angry all the time. And the thing is that, like, when people are emotionally angry all the time, we tend to only focus on, like, the anger itself, not the person, but the anger itself. But the thing is that a lot of times, anger is not the first emotion. Mm-mm. The emotion is sitting on top of something that's deeper. This is the anger, but there's other issues that's buried beneath the anger. And so oftentimes the anger is just buried beneath. The anger is here, but all the real issues are underneath the anger. And sometimes just making sure that we understand that kind of matters because it helps you understand some things a little bit more. But let's get into it and talk about like why this happens though. But before we do that, my name's Melinda. I'm a registered nurse, life coach, and mentor. And on our channel, we focus on faith, healing, and emotional wellness. At any time, if this message touches you, please give me a thumbs up to let me know that, hey, I like that. That was a good message. And if you feel led or if you feel like, you like the vibe on the channel, go ahead and subscribe. We'd love to have you in our YouTube family, okay? I'm a smaller channel, new to trying to get going and build our channel. So if anything touches you, feel free to subscribe, all right? But let's get into it. Let's talk about why this anger happens, okay? Because most emotionally angry people, they never learned how to safely process emotional pain. They haven't learned it. And so maybe, like I said, maybe they grew up though. I did another video similar to this about communication, but with angry people, maybe they grew up around criticism where people criticize them all the time. Maybe they grew up around like people that were unpredictable emotionally, like they were emotionally not predictable, or maybe people shamed them, like teased them all the time because they didn't have this, they didn't have that, they didn't look like this, they didn't look like that, they didn't get chosen, whatever the case may be. Maybe they, the rejection, the shame, maybe they lived in a harsh environment, like some environments, like the people in the house, all they do is put each other down and stuff like that. There's no positive accolades or anything like that. It's just harsh talking and putting them down. Or maybe they were emotionally neglected, meaning that they didn't get that love and nurture and growing up, and so they don't have that soft side because they don't know that it wasn't modeled for them. Okay. And so what happens over time though is that like their nervous system, it adapted for protection instead of emotional regulation, because it had to adapt to protect themselves all the time from being put down, criticized, talked about, you know what I mean? Like they started to protect themselves. And also, like, for some people though, anger, it became the safest emotion available to them because they felt like if they could just lash out and get this person off of them from talking about them, or go off or cuss this person out and to back them off, and it worked, then that's their protection. Like, so they it stopped that behavior. So what happens? So as they grow up, they feel like if something is in a disagreement, or they don't like something, or they get mad about something, they can just go off. Because why? Because that was what they grew up doing and it worked for them. Okay? Because the thing is that like anger can feel like, at times to people it could feel more powerful than sadness. Yeah, anger for them could feel like more powerful than sadness. It could feel more protected than being vulnerable. It also could feel like they have more control and not grief. So instead of like grieving something that really hurt them, they lash out with anger because then they don't have to deal with the grief. Okay. Now, yeah, I know I'm a nurse, and so I kind of go a little bit deeper with things. So let's talk about what psychology shows about this. Okay, so psychology, though, it often recognizes anger as like a secondary emotion, okay? Meaning that like anger is sometimes like covering, like I said in the beginning, covering deeper emotions underneath. And some of those emotions that they could be covering up is like I say, hurt, fear, abandonment, shame, insecurity, betrayal, or feeling emotionally powerless, meaning that like they feel like emotionally somebody has the upper hand or something like that, and they feel powerless. So in order to gain some type of power, they feel like they have to lash out in anger. Okay. And so what happens is like when people never develop healthy emotional regulation skills, those emotions can start coming out like through like emotional explosions, control, defensiveness, hostilities, shutdowns, or emotional unpredictability, meaning you don't know when they're going to go off. They could be calm one minute and boom, pop off the next minute, like you don't know. And so also I talked about in that other video too, it's not like not all angry people are bad. Not all angry people are bad. Some of them just, some people do mean things on purpose, but not all angry people are bad, okay? But because unresolved emotional pain, it eventually has to leak, so it leaks out, and that's where you get those leaks of all the things that we talked about. And so, but let's talk about what happens to the nervous system when all this is going on. When a person lives like in chronic emotional stress for years, if that's all they've known and they've lived in chronic emotional stress, their nervous system can become highly reactive, highly reactive, and the body starts staying alert for like a threat, for like conflict, for like criticism, rejection, or emotional danger. Okay. And so what happens is it's like over time the nervous system can get stuck inside that survival mode. So instead of slowing down emotionally, some people become reactive very quickly because their body has learned, oops, we need to protect first. We need to make sure we protect, ourselves. Now, in saying all of this though, and understanding like why some people are so angry, it doesn't excuse the harmful behavior. Like I'm not negating that they hurt you and stuff like that. I'm not saying that's okay at all. I'm just explaining and bringing awareness to why this could happen sometimes. But and also it helps to explain like why they struggle, so like why they have such a struggle, and why are they so angry sometimes, like why do they express their emotions like this or don't express them. Okay, now let's dive into like how this how this can affect the relationships. Okay, how this can affect different relationships, be it family, friend, or romantic, whatever, like with the partner. Let's talk about how that can affect relationships. Emotionally angry people, they often create environments where other people are left feeling emotionally not safe. Like they don't feel safe because of all the tension and stuff like that. And this is where like many empathetic people, like people that are just chill, just like to care, they care about everybody. They want people to be healthy. They just want to create peace. Like empathetic people, this is where they get trapped at, because they start trying to like calm the person down or try to help calm them down. They try to fix the person. They may try to understand too much, and it never happens, but they keep understanding and understanding and understanding while they're going getting angrier and angrier and angrier. Empathetic people can also try to like rescue the person or try to prevent them from emotionally exploding. So now what happens is instead of like being present in a relationship, their nervous system becomes focused more on emotional survival. Okay. So what happens is now they start like walking on eggshells, monitoring their mood because you don't know when they're going to pop off or be somebody else. Then they start overthinking the conversations. They could start becoming like hyper alert, like always like trying to get ahead of it. Like if they feel like, oh, they're about to go off, like I want to get ahead of this. They could also start trying to, they may start like shrinking themselves emotionally just to avoid the conflict, just disagreeing even though it's loud and wrong, just because they don't want no problems. And so what happens is, though, after a while their body just starts getting exhausted, literally starts getting exhausted. And so let's talk about, though, like how this affects you physically and emotionally, though, if you're dealing with somebody like this, or if you have dealt with somebody that's so angry. Just know that like chronic emotional tension, it affects the body more than a lot of people realize, because constant emotional unpredictability, it can contribute to things like mental exhaustion, anxiety, difficulty relaxing. You may not be able to relax because it's so intense. You can start having sleep disturbances. You can start having muscle tensions where you just tense up and clench your jaw and just, wake up and grinding your teeth in your sleep because you're so tense. You could have like hypervigilance, like where you're like always trying to scan and be on, alert just in case. You could also have like the feeling of emotionally feeling drained all the time. It could literally emotionally drain you to where you don't even recognize yourself because you're so tired, because the body was never designed, though, to stay in survival mode constantly. Excuse me. And this is why this could affect you. And I just drink some coffee, clear my throat, sorry. Yeah, so this is why it could affect you. And so your nervous system needs to be emotionally safe, okay? But listen. And these messages, like, I love learning about this stuff and bringing this to you because it brings awareness. A lot of people don't even know like that these things are at the root of the problem. And so that's why I do these videos in love, never ever ever in trying to like harm anybody, never ever trying to accuse anybody. I'm just bringing awareness to like different behaviors and situations and what could be the underlying cause of it, okay? So understanding somebody's pain, though, it does not mean that you tolerate emotional harm. Just because you understand it doesn't mean you have to tolerate it. Yeah, I understand that you had a hard time and things happen, but I'm not going to be your emotional punching bag either. Like, that's not how this is going to work. So you have to kind of have like some boundaries. It's good to be understanding, but at the same time, don't subject yourself to constantly tolerating harm. Now, some people do actually go out and get the help. And if that's a person that you're dealing with and they're actively getting help and they're changing, that's one scenario. You have to kind of judge for yourself as far as like, okay, this person is really trying, but not when you're out walking out the door after they done went off, cussed you out and all that. Now today you want to change. No, you need to actually see some work. Okay. But a lot of compassionate people and empathetic people, struggle with when to disconnect when people are hurting them, okay? Because empathy, what it does, it can slowly turn into like self-abandonment, to where you're nurturing and trying to be there for this person and all that. That's not changing. It's not even trying to change, while slowly you're abandoning yourself, your morals, your values, and you're losing yourself. And then next thing you know, your boundaries are gone. Okay. So some people stay, though, in emotionally unsafe relationships. Why? Because they're believing that if I love them enough, maybe I can heal them. If I show them the love that they never had, maybe they will turn around. And that's not like, they have to want the love, or they have to want the help. Okay. They have to want the healing for themselves. You can't love them into that. Okay. And so the reason is because healing cannot be forced. It can't be forced onto somebody who refuses accountability, because step one is acknowledging. They can't change what they don't acknowledge. And if they don't feel like they have a problem, they don't feel like they're angry, I'm not mad, I'm tired of you saying I'm mad, even though they're going off and cussing. If they're not acknowledging that that is an issue, that's step one, is taking accountability. Okay, so the thing is the emotionally mature people eventually recognize that, hey, my pain may explain my behavior. You know, I went through A, B, C, D, E as a child. This could be why I feel this way. Or this person neglected me, and, you know, I felt so hurt behind that. And that could be why I lash out at this like at women or at men or whatever the case may be, you know. But at the same time, it does not excuse hurting other people just for no reason, like just because, you know, that it's the saying, hurt people, and that's not fair to the other person, because they had nothing to do with all, like how they grew up. Okay, and so one of the hardest lessons though in healing is realizing, like, one of the hardest healing lessons is realizing that, like, you you cannot you cannot regulate somebody who refuses to regulate themselves. It's just not going to happen. You could be the most loving, calm, discerning, empathetic, caring, peaceful, giving person in the world, and it's still not going to regulate someone or heal somebody who refuses to do the work. I've been there, because I'm that very empathetic, calm, nurturing, understanding, forgiving type of person. But we cannot, you can't change a person. They have to do the work. Just like we're doing the work, listening to a video, getting self-development, reading books, whatever it takes. We're doing the work, but you cannot do the work for somebody else. It just doesn't work like that. Okay? And so you cannot carry everybody's emotional chaos, because it's not yours to carry. You didn't cause all that chaos, they did. So some people have to sit in and learn from this for themselves, or they'll never get it. They'll never get it. And it doesn't matter how much love, care, respect, honesty, integrity, you could lay it all on. You could have all that. You could embody all of that. And still, if they're not ready, they're not ready. It's just not going to happen. And I believe in telling you the truth, and this is how we heal, just acknowledging the truth. I had to acknowledge it too. I'm not exempt. It happened to me on multiple occasions because I'm very empathetic. But we cannot change somebody who don't want to change. It's not going to happen. Okay? And we're not responsible for destroying your peace. You're not responsible for just taking all your peace and just throwing it out the window and destroying your peace to save somebody else who resists and refuses to heal. Why are we going to give up our peace to be in chaos? Just don't make sense. We can't do it. You can't do it. Sis, bro, whoever's watching, like, you cannot do it. It's not going to work like that. Okay? And sometimes the thing is that wisdom looks like compassion with boundaries. Okay? So, and I think personally, like, God, sometimes he'll show you that, like, he'll show you that your job is not to absorb everybody's emotional instability. He will show you that. You can't be the sponge for everybody's problems, issues, anger, rage, disappointment, dishonesty. Like, you can't be the sponge for all of that. And it's hard when you get to that point and you're at a crossroad and you're trying to make that decision. It's very hard. But if you are a spiritual person, or, you know, you believe and you have faith and stuff like that, the Bible tells us that God's not the author of confusion. So when this starts being so chaotic and all that, that's you kind of know. especially when it start affecting your peace, and internally it doesn't sit well, and then you're sick at your stomach, and then also like you can have like your nervous system, you can just feel it that it's off, you don't have the peace and the serenity that you're used to. You know that's wrong. You know you're in the wrong situation. Okay, so sometimes your assignment is simply just to protect your peace, because that matters. Yep. And the thing is that you know if somebody is trying to get the help or not, like genuinely. Because if they were, you won't be uneasy about things. It'll be smooth, and you, excuse me, you'll have like the peace about it, versus just still being on edge. But with somebody that's that angry and just raging and stuff like that, that could be dangerous. So if you see that ahead of time, take heed. Okay, just get your peace. All right. I hope this message helped you. If it did, give me a thumbs up to let me know. And as always, if you are feeling a vibe on the channel, please go ahead and subscribe. I'm trying to grow our YouTube family. I'm a newer channel. And as always, I'm wishing you peace, love, joy, and happiness. I really hope you gain something from this message, and I really hope it touches whoever it needs to touches and gets to whoever needed this message today. All right. Love you guys. Bye.